homemaker Lisa Dyer is suing her sister-in-law, homemaker Sonia Malone, for the return of a ring. Sonia is countersuing for defamation of character and for making threats.
Your Honor, this is case number 55 on the calendar, the matter of Dyer versus Malone. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Bird, would you please get from Miss Malone the ring in question?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Give me a second. Oh, it's okay. Take it.
Very nice. Miss Dyer, Miss Malone is your sister-in-law. She's
Yes.
married to your brother, and before this whole incident with this piece of jewelry, the two of you enjoyed, according to what I've read, a very cordial, friendly relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
According to you.
Mm-hmm.
It is your claim that Miss Malone has your ring.
Correct.
She says that you lost it, her niece found it, her niece sold it to her. That's how she came into possession of the ring. In any event, this is your ring. It is clearly conceded that this ring initially belonged to you. You had it made?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And according to you, your sister-in-law really loved the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, she even wanted to buy it. Anyway, you want your ring back.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Malone says that you tossed the ring out in some clothes that you were giving away. She knows that because she purchased the ring from your niece?
Yes, ma'am.
Who had found the ring. You fixed the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
Put in a new stone or two, and it's your ring. And aside from that, you got paid for the ring from your insurance.
Exactly.
So that finders, keepers, losers, weepers, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition, Miss Malone says that you've gone around saying that she took the ring, you threatened her and her family, and she wants the value of the replacement diamond, the fixing of the ring, and she's got a counterclaim.
Mm-hmm.
When did you have the ring made?
I had the ring made in 1988.
And when, for the first time, did your sister-in-law tell you she loved the ring? Do you remember?
She was sort of my best friend at the time that I had the ring made and designed. She seen the ring after I had it made, and she always admired the ring. She always begged me for the ring. I'm going to get that ring. You know, I want that ring. And I'm like, no, no, no.
Okay.
She loved the ring.
She wanted the ring.
Right.
Now, when did you stop wearing the ring?
About 2 years ago.
Why?
There was a stone missing.
When did you notice the ring was missing?
I noticed the ring missing a while back. I was so heartbroken over the ring gone, but I never reported to police. And no, I have not made an insurance claim on this ring. Okay, I just want to make that clear. So in May of 2003, she's married to my brother, and I purchased a home in the state of Virginia. So I came to her home, and I announced that I was moving and so forth and so on. The first thing that came out of her mouth was, "Where's that ring?" I'm like, I haven't seen the ring in a while. I'm hoping that when I move, that maybe I'll run across it. And so then I move. It's a lot of transferring from moving from one state to another. So I, in January, came to the defendant's house because I was purchasing cigarettes for her. And so I called my brother and told him I brought his wife some cigarettes and I was on my way over. So I arrived at her home and I went...
You spoke to your brother, not the defendant?
No, I didn't speak to her. I spoke to my brother and told him I was coming to his home. So when I came to her home and I looked up across the room, I just seen the ring glisten. I knew immediately when it glistened that it was my ring. I went over there and I grabbed her hand and I said, "How did you get my ring?" She's like, "This isn't your ring. This isn't your ring." I said, "Yes, it is, Sonia. That's the ring you've been begging me forever." "No, it's not." And so I was so upset that I was shaking and panicky and this, that, and the other. And then once I brought it to my brother's attention, my brother says, "Yeah, that is your ring. You know, sis, that is your ring. Now I recall, that is your ring, you know." So she says to me, "Well, I paid $50 for the ring and I've got money involved into it and I'm not just handing over the ring."
Okay. Now, Miss Malone, I'm going to go to you. You tell me where you got this ring from.
I bought it off my niece, Claudette Sparks.
Okay, step up. Your name is Sparks?
Yes.
And how are you her niece?
I'm through marriage. Her husband is my husband's uncle.
Okay, so on the other side.
Yes.
And how did you acquire this ring?
First of all, I just want to know that, I'm an independent witness. I'm not on either side because I don't want to stand in the middle of family. She was having a garage sale, said that whatever...
Who was having a garage
Lisa,
sale?
she was getting ready to move, was having a garage sale. She said, whatever clothes is left, whatever you want, come and get it. I went over there with garbage bags. I filled up 16 big black garbage bags.
Of clothes?
Of clothes. I brought them home. I didn't go through them right away. I left them outside because a lot of people give me clothes, and that's what I do. I, put them to the side for whoever could use them. When I was going through the clothes, I started bringing bags at a time in. Didn't know whose it was. I picked up a big pile of clothing, and underneath I saw a ring. At the time I saw it, there were diamonds missing, and it was really dirty. It was all black. I didn't think it was real. I let my daughter play with it. Sonia had seen the ring.
How did she see the ring?
When she had come over, I was showing her my daughter's play jewelry. My daughter had gotten jewelry for Christmas, and it was just in my dresser drawer. We were just going through things, and she saw the ring.
And she asked about it?
Yes.
And what did you tell her, Miss Sparks? Where did you tell her you got the ring?
I told her that I found it laying in the hallway in front of the bathroom. It's exactly like I didn't tell her that it fell out of clothes. I didn't tell her none of that. I told her I found it in front of my bathroom door when I was going through clothes.
When you were listen to me, let's be very careful, okay? Because one thing I've learned in my business, if it's not logical, it's usually not true.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Her sister-in-law, Sonia Malone, stole her ring. Sonia says she bought the ring from her niece.
Now, if somebody says to you, where did you get that ring? A normal person would not say, I found it on the floor in my bathroom.
Okay. I understand.
Do you understand?
Yes. It fell out of the
They
pile
would
of clothes.
say, when I was going through bags of clothes, I found it. Right?
Yes.
The next normal question from somebody who knew what the ring was would say, where did you get the clothes, right?
Yes.
And what did you tell Miss Malone when she asked you where you got the clothes from?
I do believe I told her that these were some clothes from Lisa's garage sale that I had brought over.
Right. Okay. Now, what did she say to you?
She just asked me if I wanted to sell the ring.
And you said?
I said, it's ugly. I would give it to you, but I could use the money, so here.
So here what?
I sold her the ring. I gave it to her.
You sold her the ring for?
$50.
Okay. And she took out $50 and gave it to you?
Yes, in cash.
And you say, I'm an independent witness. So let me tell you where you went wrong in the first place. If I'm part of a family and I go to pick up some clothes, and in the bag of clothes I find something that is valuable or potentially valuable, if I'm a good family member, I call Lisa and say, Lisa, you know what I found in that bag of clothes that I took from you? I found this piece of jewelry. I don't know if it's a good piece of jewelry. It's not, but, I'm sure you didn't realize that you were throwing it out with your clothes. Here's your ring back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
Yes. But I was not aware that that was her ring. I had different clothes that were coming.
Baloney. Baloney. Even if you suspected that it might have been coming from her bag, if you suspected it might be hers, a family member says, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Especially when she said, where did it come from? Light bulb should have gone off in your head. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Sit down. Now, Miss Malone, let's get to you, madam. She told you that she believed that this bag of clothing came from the plaintiff. This is a ring that you had previously seen. So you knew the ring belonged to Lisa,
No,
right?
I didn't.
Yes, you did. Don't be a liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Don't be a liar. You knew the ring belonged to Lisa. You thought.
She told me she just found the ring. She didn't say it came specifically out of a bag.
She found the ring where? She just testified. Are you telling me that
In
your
her
witness
house.
is lying?
In her house.
She found the ring. What? The ring fairy brought it into her house? She told you how she got it, Miss Malone. Don't fib to me. I'll make you look like a fool. You said, where did you find it? She said, I was cleaning out bags of clothes. What clothes? She already testified to that. So don't be a liar.
I'm not a liar.
Yes, you are. You knew this ring. You had seen this ring over the years. You knew the ring belonged to the plaintiff. You don't even deny your answer that you knew the ring belonged to the plaintiff or that you had a strong suspicion that it belonged to the plaintiff. What you say in your answer is, I bought it for $50.
Correct.
I paid to have it fixed.
Correct.
Therefore, it's mine.
Correct.
Right. Wrong. Wrong. You knew that the ring did not belong to your witness to sell. And you knew that when you gave her $50 for the ring, that it was worth a lot more than $50. So you were not a purchaser without knowledge that this was either lost, misplaced, or perhaps stolen. Therefore, now your claim is that you paid $50 for it, which I reject because you shouldn't have paid $50 for it. You shouldn't have paid anything for it. You should have said to her, especially a family member, you better ask Lisa whether that's her ring, whether she intended to give it away. That's what you should have said first. Then when you invested money, you expect to get your money back.
Right.
You don't get it back. You did the wrong thing. If you do the wrong thing, you don't get the money back. So aside from making trouble in your family, which I'm sure you did between your husband and his sister and everybody else and getting her involved, all because you wanted an extra piece of jewelry, you did the wrong thing. When you do the wrong thing, you're not rewarded. So you don't get the ring back, and you don't get what you paid for it, and you don't get what you paid to have it fixed. She gets the ring back. Now let's get to your counter.
The ring looked familiar. I asked her if Lisa had seen the ring. She told me that Lisa had offered her $100 for the ring, but she chose not to sell it to her.
Lie.
Let me tell you something. She says she didn't know whose ring it was. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your witness says she didn't know whose ring it was when she sold it to you. Give her back the ring.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
your first counterclaim, Miss Malone, is that the plaintiff has been telling people that you have her ring wrongfully. Is that right?
She said that I stole the ring. I never stole the ring.
Well, you did. In effect, you did. Because she didn't know that the ring was not an abandoned piece of property. You knew. Now, Miss Malone, there isn't very much question in my mind that if your husband had told you she was coming over, you would have taken off the ring before she got there.
No, that's not true.
Oh, well, for a while she hadn't seen it. And you do wear a lot of jewelry. So my sense is that you probably, had you had noticed that she was coming over, you would have slipped it off your finger and said, I don't want to start any trouble.
That's not true. I didn't think the ring was hers, Your Honor.
I don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Okay.
I don't believe you. Circumstances suggest to me that you knew or should have known, if you wanted to open up your mind, that the ring belonged to Lisa. At least enough that you would have said to her, Lisa, is this yours? All in all, you did the wrong thing. You don't get rewarded for doing the wrong thing. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You have your ring back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't know it was her ring.
She knew this ring. She knew this ring when she seen it from Claudette.
Nobody in the family wants nothing to do with her. She's a trifling lion.
She was my friend, and she was my birth coach for 2 children.
I was not her best friend. I didn't hang out with her.
I'm just glad it's going to be over with now. Maybe, the family can calm down a little bit.
I knew in my heart that I would prevail on this and would get my ring back.
She can never be around my kids or nothing. She's out of our family.
22-year-old warehouse worker Kevin Naughton is suing his ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old assembly line printer Glory Jackson, for stabbing him in the arm. Glory says Kevin was attacking her.
Order. All rise. This is number 312 on the calendar in the matter of Naughton versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Mr. Norton, there was a time when you and Miss Jackson had a relationship. Is that right?
Yes.
According to your complaint, you had an argument. And during the course of that argument, Miss Jackson stabbed you with a knife.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no question that you were cut, you received stitches, you want her to pay for that assault.
Yes.
Miss Jackson says she was defending herself because you were in the process of assaulting her and you actually ran into the knife, which she had picked up for protection because you were hitting her. When did this assault take place, sir?
On the 19th of July.
Now, Miss Jackson has a counterclaim. Miss Jackson says that because of you assaulting her and her defending herself, she was arrested and she had to pay attorneys and she had other costs. So she is counterclaiming for not only the costs of her defending herself, but also for the assault that she alleges you committed against her. Correct?
Yes.
Now, 19th of July, 2004?
Yes.
You were at her house. What were you doing at her house, Mr. Norton?
Well, she had called me on my cell phone, and she had just had a baby, and she had told me that the baby was mine. But the whole time when she was pregnant, she said she was pregnant by some Marine dude in California.
A submarine dude?
Yeah, some Marine guy. She brags about him all the time like he's the best person in the world. So anyway, I come over to see the baby. I'm like, I thought you said it was his. And she just had it, because before she had a baby, like a couple years ago, she had a baby, she said it was mine. And I took a blood test, it wasn't even mine. So she was doing it again, so I'm like, it's not mine. I went to go look at the baby, and I said it didn't look like me. So she gets mad, she tells me to get out of her house, excuse my language. So as I'm leaving, I'm going out the door, I turn around, she's coming at me with a knife. I put up my arm, and she stabs me in the arm. She stabbed me so hard, the knife broke. And I ran outside, and the ambulance had came and picked me up out the street. I was laying in the middle of the street.
All right, Miss Jackson, you want to tell me your version of the events.
On the morning of July 19th, Mr. Nodden was over at my house.
How did he get there?
He called me and told me that he couldn't get into his mother's house and asked me if he could spend the night. I don't even know Mr. Nodden's telephone number at that time. Okay, so I said, sure. He came over that night. He spent the night. That morning, I was on the phone with my sister, and he told, and then, okay, so then I took the baby in there to lay him down. Then he said, quit making all the noise. I'm tired. I'm tired. I said, I know why you tired. You don't have no job no more. And then he jumps up, and he's like, don't be telling them bees my business. Came in my face. I'm in the bathroom. I'm about to get in the bathtub. Then he pushed me, and I proceeded towards him to, move him. But he's punching me as I'm walking towards him. So I'm running out.
Where is it? Just a second. Where is he punching you?
He's punching me all here. He didn't ever hit me in my face. He just punched me in my body, my upper top of my body.
Now, were you dressed or undressed as you were going to take a bath?
No, I still had on my pajamas, a nightgown.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so then I took off running I just ran to the first place. I ran to the kitchen. There was a knife on the counter. He still hit me in the back as I'm running. I grabbed the knife, and I'm doing it like this, saying, Kevin could just get out my house, and tell him to get out my house. And he wouldn't leave, and he came towards me, and that's when he got cut. I never swung the knife to cut him. I just held the knife out so he could leave. I could not run out the house because my children were in the house, in their room, sleep. And that's how it happened. Then he took off running out the door. And I did call the police, but his phone call got through before mine, or I don't know what happened. But
just a second. He ran out the door. He was cut.
I didn't know he was cut. Okay.
He ran out the door. He was cut.
Mm-hmm.
Who called the ambulance?
The police must have called the ambulance.
Okay. Now, when did you call the police?
I called the police as soon as I shut the door and locked the door. I called them.
Okay. Did you call the police on your house phone?
No, I called off my cell phone.
Where was your cell phone?
It was on the couch.
You're her sister.
Yes, yes.
You sure you want to do this?
Yes.
I'd think twice about it. But if you're sure you want to do this, I'm ready for you.
Okay.
Step up here. Button your shirt.
It's oh.
It isn't buttoned. Did you go to a preliminary hearing when your sister was arrested?
No.
Did you ever tell a detective that you were on the phone with your sister during this altercation?
Yes.
That was a lie.
No,
No, that was a lie.
How was it a lie?
That was a lie. And I'm going to tell you how I know that was a lie.
How?
Because you just told me 2 seconds ago that you were going into the bathroom in your pajamas. You were still in your pajamas drawing a bath. I'm speaking, and he came into the bathroom, and you started to tussle with him, and you pushed him away from you.
I didn't push him away from me.
Yes, he started.
It's in the letter statement that he wrote. He wrote me a letter.
Listen to me very carefully, madam.
Mm-hmm.
You said you pushed him away from you.
No, I ran. After he pushed me, I was running towards him.
And then you ran outside, and you got a knife. And you held up the knife. And then he got cut. And then you went back to the couch to pick up a phone, which is where you told me the cell phone was, where you called the police. However, in your answer that I read very carefully, you say, the DA eventually dismissed the charges because my sister had stayed on the other end of the phone while this incident occurred.
Mm-hmm.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
It's in this letter. He even admitted to her that he knows I was on the phone. I was on the phone the whole time. He wrote me a letter stating
You mean to tell me that the phone was in the bathroom?
I was on the phone.
In the bathroom getting ready to take a bath?
On the bathroom. I ran my bath when I was
Just a second. How did the phone then get on the couch?
Because I threw it down as I was running.
Let me see the letter.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Kevin Naughton claims ex-girlfriend Glory Jackson stabbed him in the arm. Kevin says Glory freaked out when he denied being the father of her child.
This doesn't say we're on the phone with your sister.
He said, I did not know you were on the phone with your sister.
And telling her your business. This doesn't say you were on the phone with your sister during the course of the incident.
That's what he's talking about in the letter.
Listen to me. That's not what it says. What else do you want to say?
I guess that's it.
No, not you.
Oh.
You.
I was on the telephone with her when I heard his voice, and I was asking her who that was. And she told me his name, and I said, who? She said, it's the guy that his relative lives next door to my mom.
Yes.
And I said, oh, okay, because I had met him before.
Yes.
And then, but he was cursing and yelling and everything in the back, and I was asking her why. Then the phone dropped, and it went dead. So I was on the telephone with her.
You didn't hear anything of this incident, is that right?
No, I heard him cursing at her, calling her the B word, slut, and all those type of things. Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
All right, I was going to say that she stabbed me so hard the knife broke. So it wasn't like I just ran into it. She came like this.
Did you go to the doctor after this assault? Not you. I know you did. Did you go to the doctor after
No,
this
I was
assault?
arrested.
Well, when you're arrested, they take photographs of you if you have bruises on your body.
Bruises don't usually show up till a few hours later. I didn't have any bruises.
You mean he was punching you and hitting you and you didn't have any marks?
No.
You have a police report, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Do you want to see my medical bills, too?
Yeah. You have any police report you want me to read?
I have a police report from a previous incident that we had.
I'm not interested in that.
Okay.
You have a previous incident with him, madam, then you don't invite him over to your house to stay over.
I didn't invite him. He called me and asked me if he could stay there till the morning.
Huh. Did you tell him that you thought this baby was his?
No, I did not. His auntie told him that she thought that my baby was his. We were not even messing around at that time. He wanted it to be his very badly, as stated in the letter, so we can be a family, work it out. Yeah, that's what you said. You know you did.
What do you want to say, sir?
Man, I ain't never told her that. She named her last baby. She named after me, and it wasn't even mine. And this one, she's supposed to be with some
I told you it
Marine
wasn't
dude.
yours, though. So what are you talking about? I
Gotta keep the players straight, folks. Gotta keep the players straight. All right, you had medical bills of $817. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Your counterclaim, madam, for false arrest is dismissed. I believe that your sister's full of baloney. I don't think that your sister heard anything that involved an assault, heard anything involving punching, hitting, or whatever. She may have heard him curse at you. She may have. I mean, I read what happened on that day. According to him, he told a totally consistent story with what happened that he told today. And he told that at the point where he was bleeding from his arm. He hardly had enough opportunity to make up a good story. You, on the other hand, did. Your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was cool at first until I said it wasn't mine, and she flipped the script.
I told him that the baby wasn't his. It was a question, but I told him that it wasn't.
I'm through with it.
He always wanted to be over there and just be with me. I don't know. I just had a baby, so you know we wasn't finna have no sex.
I can show you my cell phone. She called me last night and at the airport.
He got his little money now. Maybe he can go get him something with his broke self.
She probably called me right after this.
That's
All parties in the matter of Amperan versus Lyle. Step forward, please.
dental assistant Olivia Amperin is suing her former live-in boyfriend, business owner Alan Lyle, for the return of a barbecue pit and a chair and ottoman set. Olivia also claims Alan assaulted her 9-year-old son.
Miss Amperin, how long did you and the defendant live together?
15 months.
And he moved into your house?
Yes.
And you have children?
Yes, I do have 2.
How old are they?
12 and 9.
Was Mr. Lyle a reasonable companion with regard to the children?
No.
Okay. According to your complaint, there was an incident in September
That's correct.
involving one of your children. Was that the 12-year-old or the 9-year-old?
The 9-year-old.
Where you claim that Mr. Lyle hit him.
That's correct.
And you called the police and had him removed from the house. What day was that?
It was the 7th.
And then it is your claim that he came back into the house and he took some of your property. He took a barbecue pit, a chair, and a lamp. And you say that you purchased all these things, you paid for these things. Mr. Lyle says he only took what was his. You also want some sort of damage because you say that he hit your 9-year-old son, slapped him.
That's correct.
So tell me what happened on September 7th.
It was in the evening. We had come home, myself and my 2 children. We drove up. The door to the front of the house was open. Everything was open. So we proceeded into the house, myself and my children, and I told them because of the situation that we were in, living with Alan Lyle, that just to go into your rooms, don't answer to him, just do what I ask you to do to avoid any confrontation. So they did so. As I proceeded into my bedroom, he was there with a duffel bag. I simply asked him a question as to where are you packing, where are you going? And he started telling me I have no right to ask him where he's going, whether he's coming for me to get the effing with my children, go over there, go sleep with your children, go sleep with your gay son. He's a mama's boy. He'll never amount to anything, and he just kept on with those things. So I went ahead and went out from the room to my son's bedroom, and I comforted him because he did hear these things. Alan then went outside to the garage, and I didn't tell you this before, but when I came home that night, he was under the influence of alcohol and marijuana, and I went outside. We began to argue. He turned around and said for me to get the hell back in the house, go to sleep, and he proceeded again to tell me that if you don't get back into the house, I'm going to go and tell your son how you brought him into the world with your legs spread open.
Nasty things.
Yes, nasty things. And he went into my son's bedroom and turned around and got him up against the bedroom corner and smacked him across the face 3 times. I told him for him to stop or I was going to call the cops.
Why did he do that?
He was angry with just the whole situation of how we were living.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Warren says ex-boyfriend Alan Lyle owes for the return of a barbecue pit and a chair and ottoman set.
So you called the police?
Right, and I do want to say that when he was outside, I was very, very angry, and I know as a mother I shouldn't have told my son to curse at him, but my son did curse at him, and he didn't want to, and so I believe either that made him angry also with everything else, so he came into the house.
There had to be a reason, otherwise there would not be logic to it if he just walked inside and slapped him in the face. So he slapped him in the face because he cursed at you.
Right.
Is that what happened? Is that what happened?
Yes.
No. Now, tell me about the property. Let's start with the chair and the ottoman.
Right, he was given 1 day to come back.
Who purchased the chair and the ottoman?
I did, and I have receipts.
May I see it, please? I'll hear you.
We both went together to Wix and purchased it. Her grandmother co-signed for her to get a Wix card. She picked out the couches. We went throughout the whole store. I sat in every chair. I'm a big guy. I took a picture of the chair. I have a picture.
I just want to know who paid for it.
It was purchased on her credit card, but after the fact that we went home, we moved into our place on May 1st. So we purchased our furniture in May.
Right.
Throughout the months, I had given her $100, $200 here and there, just for the chair. Everything else was on her account, the couches and stuff, because it was agreed that if I was to ever leave, that I would be taking the chair and the lamp.
How did you deal with your finances when you lived together?
She was working, I was working.
How did you take care of the rent?
She paid half, I paid half. I gave her half of the money, and then she would write the check for it in full because she had the checking account.
How much did you give her?
I gave her $750 in rent, and then the agreement was to pay half of the utilities, but I ended up paying all of them.
Did he give you $750 for rent?
Yes, he did.
Who paid for the food?
Both of us.
Is that right?
No, Your Honor. He wasn't working. When we moved into this house together, he was not working. I put down the down payment, and I put the first and last month.
When you moved into this apartment, sir, where were you working?
When we first moved in, I was doing freelance jobs, getting hired here and there to do subcontracting work.
How many months was it before you got a full-time job?
3.5 months. Middle of September.
I say November.
So May, June, July, August. So for 5 months you weren't working. Is that what you're telling me?
4.5 months, yes.
did you ever make up your half of the rent for those 4.5 months?
Not fully.
Is not an answer.
No, not fully the $750, no.
Why not?
Well, because on top of that, I was taking care of her 2 kids, making sure they were maintained in school, doing their schoolwork. So childcare, basically.
Mr. Lyle, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. You give her back the ottoman and the chair. She bought it. She paid for it in May of 2003. You sitting in it doesn't make it yours, sir. Now, let's get to the barbecue. Who purchased the barbecue?
I did.
When?
In June. I was going to have a 4th of July barbecue. We didn't have a barbecue pit. I went out to Home Depot.
Let me see it.
Down at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. June 27th. Yes, sir, I'm hearing about the barbecue pit. Go.
She said that she purchased, that she went there by herself and bought it. That's incorrect.
No, she didn't say she went there by herself, sir.
Yes, she did.
It doesn't make any difference whether she went there with the whole Coxie army, sir, or whether she went there with Ringling Brothers.
That was a Father's Day gift to me.
You're not a father.
Yes, I am.
Oh, you're an idiot. Listen, I can't deal. The truth of the matter is, I really can't deal with
Just
it.
because I'm not a father
I'm going to tell you something else.
I am a father.
I want to tell you something else, sir. I don't even trust you to return these items to her in good condition, because I think that you are a less than honorable human being. That's my sense of you, and I've only met you for a relatively short time.
Exactly.
But those people who know me know that I'm a pretty good judge of character. You took these things that didn't belong to you. You sat in the chair, doesn't make it your chair. Because you grilled a hamburger, doesn't make it your barbecue. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,400. That's all. Out!
Thank you very much.
Always excuse you, may step out.
She has 2 kids with separate and different fathers, and they couldn't stand her either.
I mean, that's how he is, obnoxious.
She's violent. She has a temper. She likes to put her hands on men.
He's the one who has the police report on him stating that he hit my son, so he's the violent one.
I'm done and over. It's over and done with.
Naval Officer Marvin Brayfield and his wife, Jennifer Jesse, are suing the former guardian of Marvin's son, Carolyn Blake, for filing false charges with Child Protective Services. Carolyn claims Marvin kidnapped his boy.
This is case number 353 on the calendar in the matter of Brakefield Jesse versus Blake. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Mr. Brakefield, this is your girlfriend, is that right?
This is my wife.
This is your wife now?
Yes.
At the time of this, it was your girlfriend?
At the time of it, yeah.
Okay. According to what I've read, several years ago, you had either a relationship with somebody, you had a brief marriage.
I was married to my first wife.
Okay. And that marriage produced a child?
Yes, it did.
A child that your then-wife was not interested in raising?
That's correct.
And you took custody of that child?
Yes, I did.
But you weren't either in a position or you weren't interested in being a full-time parent either. So you turned your son over to the defendant for the purpose of care. And Mrs. Blake cared for your son for how many years?
21 months.
And during that 21 months, you were in the armed forces?
Yes.
Where were you stationed?
It was in Point Loma, California, in San Diego.
And Mrs. Blake cared for your son every day? He slept there?
Not full-time, no. She was a daycare provider and a close friend.
You mean your son was only there during the day?
She was there during the day, except for Tuesdays and Thursday nights, where she offered to keep him overnight so that I could go work out at the gym and perhaps get some more personal time.
Other than that, he slept at your house?
He slept overnight at my house, yes.
Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. He was with me 24/7 for the first 4 months. He didn't even come by to visit his son, but twice, and that was only after we requested it.
So for the first 4 months, he was with you full-time?
He was with me full-time the whole 21 months.
Does that sound right?
No, it's not correct at all.
Okay. Whether the child was with you 24/7 for the first 4 months or 21 months practically full-time, you started a new relationship with the co-plaintiff, and you decided that it was no longer necessary for Mrs. Blake to take care of your son, so you picked him up one day from her home, didn't tell her that you did not plan to return him, and took him, I assume, back to your house.
Yes.
Mrs. Blake called Child Protective Services. She tried to contact you. She didn't know where you were. She didn't know where the child was. She called Child Protective Services, and she made a report of suspected child abuse and or neglect. And you did do that?
Yes,
you acknowledge that you did that?
Yes, I did, and I was concerned deeply about Cody. He was not ever out of my sight without me knowing where he was more than 2 days.
Just a second. Well, that's what your case is involving. Your case is involving this call to Child Protective Services, which you say were unnecessary and unwarranted, causing you all kinds of grief, and you want to be compensated for that.
Yes.
And Mrs. Blake said that what you really did was amount to kidnapping this child without telling her that you were taking him, without telling her that you did not intend to return him to the home. And she had a legitimate concern about his well-being, and she called Child Protective Services. Right?
That's correct.
So, there's no question that for almost 2 years, Miss Blake was an integral part of your son's life. Is that right?
That's true.
How did he refer to her?
Mom.
I'm asking him.
He called her mommy because that's how she'd call him mommy. She'd call him mamas, so that it would what he would say when he was around her.
All I want to know from you is, I want a direct answer to my question. Direct answer to my question, Mr. Brakefield, is that he called the defendant mommy, right?
Yes.
Cody also calls him mommy. He also calls me mommy. He calls a lot of people mommy.
I didn't ask you anything yet. Nothing. How did you find Mrs. Blake?
She was a wife of one of my coworkers when I was at a different command.
You must have regarded her highly if you turned your son over to her.
I didn't have anybody else.
So what you're telling me is you would have turned him over to anybody because you needed a babysitter. Is that what you're telling me?
No. She offered to help me out. I was in a tight situation. She offered to help me out, and I accepted her help.
Mr. Brakefield, you're not going to be able to get away from my question. Either you believe that she was a quality caregiver, or you didn't know whether she was a quality caregiver or not, but you used her anyway.
I believe she was a quality caregiver.
That's a better answer. So, did anything happen during the course of the 21 months that Mrs. Blake was caring for your son that led you to believe that she was not a quality caregiver?
Yes.
Tell me what that was.
There were several occasions where I went into her house when picking my son up from her. There would be dog feces outside of her bedroom or down near her office, and she would tell her son to clean it up, and it would just stay there.
So that happened when?
On several occasions.
How much into the babysitting?
It was probably anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half into it.
Well, you weren't sufficiently concerned about that to take your son out and find a different daycare for him, right?
I felt it was something that I could resolve.
How could you resolve that?
By talking to her and saying, no, I've brought this up to you on past occasions.
So what I'm asking you is, it never reached the point where you felt as if your child was in danger.
Not in physical danger, no.
Well, in physical danger from being in a place that was unclean.
Well, he was allowed to walk around with cleaning products like the dishwasher pillow packets. I brought that up, and I was told, he can't break those open. They're tough to open. You can barely, it's hard to open them, so he's perfectly safe.
When during the course of her babysitting for your son did that happen? How old was he?
It actually happened on multiple occasions. I just kept bringing it up, and so, oh, he's fine. And then one day I get a phone call from her saying, well, I'm not going to let him walk around with the cleaners anymore. He just sprayed 409 into Trevor's eyes.
When did you take your son out of Miss Blake's care?
On the 25th of July of this year.
And what was the impetus of you doing that?
I have a letter that I sent her that listed the reasons why I was terminating her services.
Let me see the letter.
The straw that broke the camel's back was that I allowed her to take my son to Las Vegas because she was going there for 4 days, one of which on the very first day was my dad's day off because my father lives there, and I figured, well, she can take my son to see his grandfather.
Yes.
So the very first day that she was there, it was my dad's day off. My dad did not see his grandson that day.
Go ahead.
My dad didn't see his grandson until the night before they left, and only for half an hour. So I was on the phone with my dad when she walked in the front door. So my dad says, well, they're here. I'm going to see my grandson. I hung up the phone. Half hour later, I called him back expecting to hear, oh, yeah, everything's going great. I'm loving my grandson. I don't get that. I get, she doesn't like you. I said, well, Dad, why doesn't she like me? She has nothing good to say about you. She said you're self-centered. She says you're never there for your son. And I said, this is why I had her as a babysitter, because I'm in the Navy and sometimes I do work some late hours and I live 40 miles from work. So sometimes I go home and I sit in traffic for an hour and a half and I don't get there till 6, 7 o'clock at night. And it's not that I don't want to be there for my son. It's just that I had her services so that I wouldn't have to go to my boss and say, it's 4 o'clock, I got to pick up my son from daycare.
Your Honor? Just a second.
Okay.
So are you telling me that the reason you decided to terminate her employment By the way, how much did you pay her?
$300 twice a month. My father also told me that...
Don't tell me anything that your father told you, sir, because that's all hearsay. So you paid her a little over $600 a month. Is that right?
He didn't pay for the first 4 months. We got the baby on December 26th. He had nothing, no diapers, no clothes, no items. This is the first baby item I bought him.
Just a second. So what you're telling me, the first 4 months
4
he
months,
gave you...
nothing. Not
Is that right?
one dime.
No, that's not true.
Show me proof that for the first 4 months you paid her $300 twice a month.
I paid her in cash. She insisted on it.
And later?
It was all cash. I mean, I paid her by check one time, and she got upset because she said she didn't want to have to make a trip to the bank.
So let me ask you this question, sir. You wrote this after you had already taken your son
Out of her
without
care.
telling her.
Right.
So
Your
Honor, I have court documents to where Carolyn was so involved in his divorce and so pushy in regards to the care of Carolyn that
Cody.
the attorney actually asked that she not be in the picture anymore.
Doesn't make any difference. I told you once before. I didn't ask you anything. When did you meet him?
In March.
When did you start dating?
March.
And were you dating in April?
Yes.
Where did you live?
In Oceanside.
How did you meet him?
I met him online.
And when did you decide to get married?
June.
So you decided to get married in June, and in July all of these irritants that had been bothering him for 2 years all of a sudden made it so that he took the child out of Miss Blake's custody without giving her any advanced warning. Is that the time frame we're talking about?
That's right.
Right. I got it. So you'll answer me when I ask you a question. Do you have children?
No.
Okay. Is somebody from Child Protective Services currently monitoring your home?
No, they closed the case.
Did I look as if I was looking at you? I was looking at him.
They closed the case and they sent they gave me a letter.
I want to see the closed letter. This letter suggests that they conducted an investigation over a 2-month period, and that you now have your child in a licensed daycare facility, but they recommend that he be tested at the Hope Infant program because the daycare provider thinks that the child may have some developmental deficiencies. Have you done that, sir?
I have already.
And what's the result?
The daycare provider thought he might have a speech delay like one of his other brothers did. And I had a representative of the Hope Infant program come to my home, and it was determined that he does not have a speech delay because he's been talking, he's been putting 3-word sentences together and doing just fine.
Okay. Now we're going to get back to my original question, Mr. Brakefield, and that is, why did you not notify Miss Blake that you planned not to return Cody to her care?
Because before my first wife lost her parental rights, we had actually agreed to physical custody sharing. I informed Miss Blake of that, and she got very angry with me and started yelling at me that I was sending my son off to die, and so I figured, not wanting to go through that again and not knowing what her reaction this time would be, I figured a written letter would be the best route to go.
But you took him on July 25th, according to you, and you didn't write this letter, according to the date on the letter, until August 13th. So between July 25th and August 13th, what communication did you have with her?
I had none.
Well, that's wrong,
Except
sir.
when I told her I was going to go to Las Vegas to visit my father, which instead I went to another location, and my father started receiving phone calls from her demanding to know where I was, and my sister said she didn't know, and she was told by Miss Blake that she didn't care about me, she didn't care about Cody.
Don't listen to me. That's all hearsay. I'm asking you what you did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Ben Brakefield and his wife Jennifer Jesse claim child care provider Carolyn Blake falsely accused him of kidnapping his son.
Mr. Brakefield, you're coming to court today, a man who, because of circumstances, finds himself in a position of having to care for an infant full-time and have a job. You did it with the help of Miss Blake for almost 2 years.
Right.
Then you meet this lady, and I gather from your complaint and from her answer that these two ladies did not get along.
At first they did when I first brought her over to her
Right now,
house.
it may be the first minute. After that, they did not get along. And within a month of the two of you deciding to make a life together, you remove Cody from Miss Blake's custody and don't tell her that you're not coming back. And expect her, listen to me, sir, and expect her to just say, well, I guess he decided to take the boy himself. There you go. and forget about it. And some 3.5 weeks later, sent her a letter outlining why you took him from her custody. I don't think that's right. So,
I wasn't sure what her reaction would be, and I didn't want to risk
all you have to
being
do is
screamed
send her
at
a
and yelled at.
telegram. I decided to terminate your responsibilities with regard to Cody. I will not be bringing him back. After I return from vacation, I have found another daycare provider, period.
I don't think it would have made a difference in her reaction.
Well, you don't know, but at least you would have done the right thing.
I have several harassing phone calls on my cell phone. She threatened to sue for custody of my son. The time she threatened to call CPS. She called my command on several occasions. There are times that she on several of the phone calls says, "I am Cody's mother," and even has a message directly to Cody saying, "This is mommy, this is your mother." It's just anybody who's ever read this or heard the messages thinks we did the right thing by getting him out of her care.
Listen to me. I don't necessarily think you did the wrong thing by deciding to resume full-time physical custody of your child. You now had a fiancé who was going to be living with you, so you were in a better position to take care of him. I don't fault you, sir, for removing Cody and deciding to take him back in your full-time charge. I fault you for the method in which you did it. You did it in a heartless fashion. Very heartless. Not only heartless for her, but heartless for your son. His 2-year-old child. And the only maternal figure that he's known in 2 years is her. So whether you decide to take him back full-time, you sit down, you have a conversation. And you say, listen, you may like it, you may not like it, but I'm getting married, and I am going to take Cody back. We're going to make a family, the three of us, but I'd like to be able to do this in an orderly fashion. I'd like to be able to bring him to you 3 days a week, and then bring him 2 days a week, and then down to 1 day a week, and you can always visit him so that the transition for my son would be easier. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
If she rejected that, you've at least done the right thing. But you can't do the wrong thing and then come to court and expect me to feel sorry for you because after you did the wrong thing, she called Child Protective Services. What you did was wrong. What you did was abusive to a child who has the only other parent that they know, the one that they're with most of the time, because when you pick him up after work, then he goes to sleep. And that's those days that you're not picking him up because you're going to the gym and taking care of other personal business. Right, according to you.
It's part of my job. It's mandatory. It's a mandatory military regulation that you work out 3 days a
Great!
week.
What does your 2-year-old son have to do with that? All he knows is the only person that's taking care of him is her.
Yep.
And what you did was precipitously and without any thought to how it was going to impact on him, you removed him from the only family that he knew without a transition. And that, as far as I'm concerned, was abusive. And that, as far as I'm concerned, deserves a call to Child Protective Services and say, what kind of person has this kind of judgment? I'm afraid for the kind of judgment that he is exercising with regard to this 2-year-old. You got my drift? I've raised some children, and I have grandchildren, and you're supposed to take the position as a parent that you're supposed to do what's best for them, the children, all the time. Now, it's best for your girlfriend, but what's best for the child? Not even for what's best for her. She's not the issue. You're grown-ups. He's not a grown-up. He's a baby. And you and your first wife put him in a position. You had bad judgment when you picked wife numero uno. I hope that you had better judgment when you picked numero due. I'm not so sure. But you and your first wife, it was your bad judgment picking somebody who wasn't ready to have a family. It was second poor judgment that you had a baby with somebody that wasn't ready to have a family. You find a caregiver who was given your child, who's kept him safe, fed, clean, because you didn't remove him from her custody for 2 years, so evidently her care could not have been that inadequate, sir. And then when you decide to do it, you do it in a fashion that is not designed to ease the transition. As far as I'm concerned, that's neglectful and very bad judgment. So, did you call Child Protective Services?
Yes, you better believe I did.
Good for you. Your case is dismissed.
Why does that excuse you to step out?
He disappeared from his apartment, the child, everything, and just took the baby and left it. The child didn't speak for 3 weeks because he wasn't around me.
I have the right to decide who my son's caregiver is, no matter how close he is to that person.
They hurt the baby, 120%.
She just became overly bonded to him.
I would like to see Cody as a regular aunt and uncle would be.
She just can't get it out of her head that you're not Cody's mother.
I am the child's mother, not biologically, but every other sense I was.
Some people just have mental problems and can't differentiate the line between a caregiver and a parent.
I raised him for 21 months. He only came once every other week to get him.
I took my son home every night except Tuesday and Thursday nights.
That's not caring for a child. He didn't pay for diapers.
When she took care of Cody, he had a full crib full of clothes.
Formula, nothing.
He had 5 cans of formula. He was doing okay.
He doesn't have his family anymore.
I am Cody's father, and I am his family.
I just hope that Cody's going to be better, and if I don't see him now, I'll see him when he's 18, and he'll know everything.
Cody's going to do just fine. We've already got a college fund started for him, and he's going to have a great future.
26-year-old salesman Keenan Starnes is suing his ex-girlfriend, 20-year-old cashier Kristen Chinook, for having him falsely arrested for assault. Kristen is countersuing, claiming Keenan backed over her with his car.
All rise. This is case number 350 on the calendar in the matter of Starnes versus Chinook. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
You know what I find fascinating, Bird? I find it fascinating that people come here and they look as if butter could melt in their mouths. They're so sweet. I come outside and I look at these 2 little innocent faces, you know, they look like they belong on a postage stamp. And then you hear what they had to say about each other and what they did, and it's, you know, it's like everybody has 2 personalities. Fortunately, I get the nice personality, right? It is your claim, Mr. Starnes, that the defendant, who used to be your girlfriend, falsely accused you of hitting her with your truck. As a result of that, you had to spend money for lawyers, you had all kinds of aggravation. Did you spend any time in jail?
7 days.
7 days in jail. And you want her to compensate you for that. Ms. Chinook says that you did, in fact, have a hissy fit, maybe because she threw her shoes at your truck, which she did because she was angry. And she doesn't really remember the whole incident, but she does remember after she threw the slippers at your truck, she remembers seeing your taillights, and the next thing she knew, she woke up in the hospital. You say, I didn't do any of that. I don't know how she got there. Some other truck must have dropped out of the night sky and hit her. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. When did you and the defendant stop being boyfriend and girlfriend?
7/12/03.
Interesting that you remember the date. And you've, since that time, had some problem because she wants her CDs back.
Yes.
CDs that you either purchased together or you kept. So there's been an ongoing problem over these CDs. Is that right, Ms. Chinook?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the date of this alleged hit and run?
7/14, 7/15.
What took you so long to come to court?
The plaintiff, Keenan Starnes. We had a court date scheduled.
Because the criminal case was pending, is that
Yes.
right? Okay, so you had to wait for the criminal case to be over before you came to court.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you have a counterclaim for your medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, after you had had these ongoing discussions with Ms. Chinook about the CDs and how she was going to get them back, you decided to go over to see her, or you stopped by her house. Is that right?
No, ma'am.
Well, where did this incident happen with the slippers?
About, say, 2 miles from her house, at some mutual friends' houses.
What did you drive by there for?
I was actually headed to the mall. I just picked some friends up around the corner, and we seen her out in the yard and stopped and talked to her.
Who stopped to talk to her?
Me and my witness, Brittany.
Brittany is your new girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me what you said to her.
She wanted the CDs back. She said that she wanted them back by 10 p.m. I told her that I had bought the CDs and that I wanted to get copies of them and she could have the bought copies and I would take the computer issue ones and that they would be returned to her.
Now, how long had she been asking you for these CDs?
2-3 days.
And was there any reason why you had this discussion with her, with your new girlfriend in the car?
No, I just bumped into her.
And you decided to stop and talk to her about the CDs with the new girlfriend in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was 3 days after you broke up? You have a short attention span.
Me and Brittany weren't together then.
You're just friends then?
Yeah.
Okay, now when he told you you weren't getting the CDs back until after he makes copies of them, he took off, and what happened?
Ma'am, I'm sorry. That is not what happened. I was at Lone Oak Manor. It was not 2 miles from my house. I did move here recently. I was over at Lone Oak Manor staying with a friend. They drove through once, beeping their horn and flipping off the apartment that I was in. Then when they came back through, they actually left and came back again. And, good Lord.
So you went out?
I went outside the second time that they came through.
That was silly, Miss Schnook. What'd you go outside for if he's behaving like a jerk?
Because, ma'am, my CDs were my life. That's the only thing that I owned
Your
at that
CDs
point
were
in
your
time.
life.
Yes, ma'am.
You better get a new life.
I know.
You better get another life. If your CDs are your life, your children are your life, your family is your life, sometimes a profession is your life. Some men say golf is their life. But I never heard anybody say, my CDs are my life. So you went out after you saw him the second time, and what happened?
I went outside. I told the plaintiff, Keenan, that I wanted my CDs back and that I knew that him and Brittany were together. She was supposed to be my friend at the time, Your Honor. According to several witnesses...
Don't say, I'm not care what witnesses say. I don't care if they were together or not, other than the fact that he stopped to talk to you with the new girlfriend in the car, which is pretty stupid. But that's probably consistent. All right, so you went outside and you said, my CDs are my life. Give me my life back. And he said, you'll get them back after I dub them. Is that the right word?
That's the right word.
Right word. After I dub them, you'll get them back.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he peeled off?
No, ma'am.
Then you cursed him?
They started cursing. I started
What about cursing? Then you cursed him?
Yes.
There came a point when he took off in the truck, and you took off after him.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do?
मैं जान दियां करो हथ हजार जिन्हें मातम करने बड़ी औखी सत्तर है बीबी आदि तू भी कोई दर्द सुना ए मजदूर ही सुनन व तजादारा तक ही जावे ओही मातम करन मिंबर गवाए हुण भैन दे पासे दिठे गरीब रो के आदे क्या दर्द सुनावा हो 9 लाख मैनू रल के मारिया है इत कई भी तरास दिखाया नहीं ओ मेरा पुत्र जवान जो मर गया है मैं कई भी पर जाया वत कर दे सर ते मातम वत कर दे सर ते मातम मिंबर दी कसम रोमन आले बेशक साई कार्ड बद जुमला पढ़दा में रोमन आले लोगो जी हाय 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 वतन अकबर दी लुट्टी जवानी दा वास्ता है जेड़ा शिया है सर ते मातम करे नहीं पढ़ियां हुण ताई मैं 17 अज पे पढ़दा सैयदा दे आलिया तू मुशीरा इमामत अल्लाह करे मातमी बर्दाश्त कर लवन आलिया तू मुशीरा इमामत आलिया हर कोई आदारासी हुसैन तेरा जरबा नाल कुठे हुसैन आदे नालिया तू गवार में मैं तेरा जरबा दे नाल नहीं कुसना आवाज आंदे अकबर दा बाबा वत कीवे कुसे इयो जे हुसैन वैन कीते मस्तूरां दियां तलियां लगियां न हुसैन रो के आदन ओ जद्दा कड्डी हाई पर थी अकबर दी मेरी दीदी वेल साडे माता ओ जद्दा कड्डी हाई पर थी जी बाबा जी बाबा मर वैसन इन्हें नहीं सुनना इन्हें नहीं सुनना भाई ही गल कीती है मैं ज़ाकरीन नूं दसदा पिया मैं अज़ादारा नूं दसदा पिया जेड़ा मोहर होवे वत पूरे हाल दा पूरे पिंडाल दा सर ते मातम होंदा आ तू जिगर अजमा मैं तनवैन सुनावा ए गल कीती है अली निधि भिरा दा बाजू पकड़े जिगर संभाले औखी सत्तर है फिरा दा बाजू पकड़ के तेरे जुमलियां दी ताईद पे करदा अली दीदी टुरदी टुरदी उठे आईए जिथे अकबर दी लाश आई हुण या मैं मर जावां या मातमी दा हाथ सर ते आवे अली दीदी अकबर दा जख्मी सीना डिठे मावा भैणा नूं ज्यादा समझ आसी रोवण वाले जख्मी सीने ते डिठे वत अकबर दा बाजू पकड़े रो के आदी है ओए उठी देख अकबर सहरा दे विच तेरा बुढ़ड़ा प्यू तन हार गए हर बंदा सार ते मातम करे ओए उठी देख अकबर सहरा दे विच तेरा बुढ़ड़ा प्यू तन हार गए साजाद आजाद गश विच है सजदे दा वकात करीब आ गए इंदा लाशा जैसी